And that's how the theme song goes. Welcome back to the Constitutionals podcast. If you didn't know, this is the premier podcast for the website, cpluscomedy.com. Like I said, it's a website. You can go there. You'll have to, this is episode 49 of the Constitutionals podcast. You'll have to, hold on for a second here. I'm checking something on YouTube. Oh my God. All right. So there's an issue. I uploaded News Time to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/cpluscomedy. It is not being shown. It's not shown. It's not shown on the thing. There's a link that goes to it, but it's not shown that it's there. I'll figure it out. I'll figure this issue out. This very pertinent issue right now. I hope I muted the computer. I see it. Oh, crap. All right. Well, for some reason, it's titled something else in this thing. It's on News Time. You know what? Whatever. I'll figure this out. This is not something that needs to happen right now. Anyway, let's hop right into it. Let's get right into these topics. About 2 minutes into this 1 minute, 18 seconds into this podcast. All right, so I did watch a lot of stuff, but let's just go over that really quick. I want to get to 3 things I want to mention. I want to talk about really quick. Table 19. I watched this movie called Table 19. It's a movie starring Stephen Merchant, Anna Kendrick, Lisa Kudrow, Craig Robinson, and June Squibb, and Tony Revolori. It's a movie that is produced by the Duplass brothers, and they wrote the story. Wow, cool. Anyway, it's a movie about obviously Table 19 at a wedding that is not preoccupied. It is where all the unmentionables have been sat. So Anna Kendrick used to be dating the best man, and Tony Ravioli is the weird aunt's cousin, or the aunt's weird cousin, or something like that. I don't know. Let's see. Stephen Merchant is the nephew of somebody, and he embezzled a bunch of money, and he's also very weird himself. The Kemps are they're friends, they're business friends, and they hate each other. The Kemps are Craig Robinson and Lisa Kudrow, and they hate each other, and their marriage is on the rocks. And you eventually find out she came to the wedding to cheat on Craig Robinson. I don't know how that's gonna work out. June Squibb is dying of cancer, and she doesn't tell anybody until Anna Kendrick somehow figures it out with 20 minutes left in the movie, and you know where the rest of the movie's going. It's not a particularly good movie. The budget was $5 million. It brought in $5 million at the box office, so there's that. It was it's fine. It's fine. It's not the greatest, as you can see. Me just mentioning it. It was wow. It was shot in Atlanta in 2015. And it was released in 2017. I never want that to ever happen with a movie that I do, because that's odd how that happens. Anyway, it's not the best movie, but you know what? There's a lot of good stuff in it, and I laughed a lot, and those Duplass brothers sure are good at what they do. Anyway, Final Space on the TBS network. This is a show from Olin Rogers. It's a cartoon about it's a serialized cartoon, which is very strange. That might be a prerequisite on TBS. They might just want, they might want shows that are serialized. So, show from Olin Rogers. This guy was discovered online. So here's what happened. So somebody that works for Conan O'Brien saw the original animation for Final Space about 3 years ago, and they said, Conan, you gotta look at this. And then Conan liked it so much that he called up Olin and says, let's make this a show. And 3 years later, it's a show. Man, that's so cool. This is a guy who was living in Nashville, Tennessee, doing God knows what, and now he has a show. If anybody would like to, I'm putting this out there in the universe. If anybody would like to look at News Time and go, let's make this a show, please, because I got nothing going for me myself. Anyway, it's a good show. It's a cartoon show. It's a lot of great voice talent. Olin Rogers, obviously, he's the main guy, and you can tell that this guy is the main guy. You can really tell his voice is unlike anybody else's. Fred Armisen, Tom Kenny, Dave Tennant, Stephen Yun, Conan O'Brien, Ron Perlman, John DiMaggio, Gina Torres, Keith David, Andy Richter, Exhibit, for all those people that care. it's a good cast of people. I like it. It's a funny show, and I can't wait. I want to see what happens. It's a show about the main guy, Gary. It was a prisoner in space on this space vessel, and he served 5 years in solitary, I guess, on the space vessel with robots, with nothing but robots to talk to. And then he meets this Tom Kenny 2001 Space Odyssey AI character too. And he spends his time just doing stuff, fixing things, and that's it. Talking to himself, talking to the robots, and he meets up with this alien that is a planet destroying thing, and it shoots a beam out of his mouth, and they go on an adventure, and that's it. And it's fine. It's a good show. I like it. I'm having a good time with it. And I don't know if you watch it or not. Speaking of TBS, The Detour, Jason Jones, Samantha Bee created show starring Jason Jones and Natalie Zia, I believe, and these two kids that I don't know their names. They're supposed to be twins. It's a funny show. I really enjoyed. I wrote it down just so I can say I talked about it. Laura Benatti's on the show, and yeah, that's pretty much it. It's a funny show. It's another serialized show. It started. The first season was about this family going on this road trip. Second season is about this family hiding out, living in New York. Third season is about this family hiding out in Alaska. It's a very funny show. I really like it a lot, and it's there's a lot of good things going on in that show. And I can't talk too much about it, but there we go. Final thing, game night. I mean, I'd said last week. I said, hey, I'm gonna go look at game night, and guess what I did? I saw game night. It was fine. I had a good time. There was for a Tuesday afternoon at 1:00. There was a lot of people in that movie. I would probably say there were two old couples, and I think there were at least one or two more right behind me. Like I usually do. I walked right in, and I sat down on the edge of a seat by myself. I didn't want anyone to talk to me, and I didn't want to talk to anyone. And there we go. I watched the movie and I had a good time. It was but these people kept talking. These old people kept talking. I gotta hurry up and fund my own, what's it called? Movie theater. All right, let's move on. Oh my gosh. It's almost time. It's 7:58. All right. Not 7:58. It's, I'm 8 minutes into this podcast. Okay. So I want to go ahead and, talk about reviewing what, really? All right, I guess so. Reviewing TV. I wrote this stuff down. Reviewing TV shows. So if you go to the website, cplscomedy.com, where there's latest news, reviews, features, interviews, and all this other stuff. I'm not into the podcast right now. Hold on. I usually do reviews, and I try to keep up to date with the things I saw. And I try to make it as not pertinent, as current as possible. So, case in point, Crashing's second season ended, and I just reviewed it. But the thing is, I haven't been up to date on another period. Now, here's the thing. A lot of shows are very easy to review. Speaking of this, I haven't finished my One Day at a Time reviews, even though I finished this series a long time ago, like 3 weeks ago. But I just haven't had time to sit down and write something that's not news time. But One Day at a Time, Crashing, what else have I reviewed? I don't know, a number of any of these pilots, with the exception of Champions, which I have yet to see, and AP Bio, which is about 5 episodes in now, 6 episodes. I'm just going to say every single number before I get to it. So the issue is, I haven't had time to sit down and review shows, but the thing is about Another Period, that show is very hard to review because it doesn't have the story structure of every other comedian. What am I saying? Every other sitcom. It doesn't have the story structure of every other sitcom that's out. That is Crashing. That is Insecure. That is The Detour. That is Final Space, which I reviewed the first 3 episodes of. Or 2 episodes. Or One Day at a Time. And Another Period is a show that it's a reality show in the guise of a period comedy. So the issue and the problem is that there's not a lot to talk about when you watch that show. And so now I have this. I have notes from the last 3 episodes, and I thought last week I was gonna write that review, but it looks like I'm not gonna be able to do that. It's just so there's nothing to talk about in that show. They do have this serialization. I'm not saying that every comedy needs to have serialization. I'm saying that there needs to be substance to write about when I'm going to review the show. And so Another Period has this arc where the main characters are still trying to get famous, and that's the conceit of the whole show. And in the early or late 1800s, early 1900s. So they're still trying to get famous in that small of a time, and it's just, it's a great joke show, but it's not a great story show. I'm not going to expect. I think I'm like one of the few people that is even coming back and watching this show like constantly on a consistent basis every single week. And that's the problem is that's the only show I have early access to. I could watch next week's episode right now if I wanted to, because I get the screeners, but that's the only show I have access to right now. So, yeah, that's where I'm at with reviewing things. It's really difficult. I stopped doing news on the website altogether. I did a story like 2 weeks ago, but it's not worth it. It's not worth it to kill myself for five sentences to say that a TV show is being made and you'll see it next year. But reviewing a show, I can get consistent hits off that, and I that's how I game the system. I can get consistent hits off that. But but obviously the two biggest things on the website, one is inconsistent, which is the interview stuff, and then the other biggest thing is news time. News time you can get if I do the right story at the right time, like the Movie Pass stuff, then it will hit. But then by hit I mean I get 200 views. But then if I do the inclusion writer story, which came a week after the Oscars actually happened, then that's a hit or miss, and actually it missed. And then then I have random episodes about. I did one about Snapchat, or how about when Spike TV turned. Well, all right, let's get back to Snapchat one. Snapchat one, I did it a week before Snapchat had, or they pissed off Rihanna, and she just destroyed their stock because she said that was disrespectful what they did. Well, if you don't know what happened, they posted an ad within the app that had, would you rather slap Rihanna or would you rather punch Chris Brown? Which is very funny, but horrible. And then I have the that I did for the week that Paramount TV came on. That one did really well because I don't know, actually. I couldn't tell you. I mean, it was the week it came on, and I said I'll put out an episode 4 days beforehand, because that's when news time comes out. Did an episode on Cracked and BuzzFeed, and 25. I'm 2 of those, so 23 people said, "Oh, well, what's going on with Cracked and BuzzFeed and Mashed, and why are they firing all these people?" So you just gotta. It's weird. You just have to. There's no telling how it works. I wish I was smart enough to, or knew what was happening enough to, or the one I did the Disney's Disney XD's XP, even though that's over with. Disney has an issue with video games apparently. So there you go. That's it. Reviewing stuff is hard, and making news time is even harder. And the only reason to get these hits is you gotta find a way to do it. You gotta do it right. You gotta do it right, Rocky. You gotta do it right. I don't know who that was. That was not Rocky's trainer. It's Rocky's new trainer, Sal Longo. All right, moving on to Migos. Listen, so Migos put out this new video, "Walk It Like a Target," from their album Culture 2. And it's an album that has, I think, about 24 songs on it. If I remember correctly, because I did listen to part of it this morning again, but I only listened to like the 3 songs I like: "Walk It Like a Target," "BBO," and "Stir Fry." "Motorsport's" fine too. There's a lot. There's some good songs on there. They should have pared it down. They should have done the reason I read on the hip hop subreddit, the reason why that rappers are now, and actually singers in general, are putting out in bands are putting out these long albums is because that it's easier to, you can get more streams from that. And I don't know if that's entirely true, but it would make sense because Lil Yachty's latest album, I think Lil Boat 2, it's very long, and the album that came out last year that he did is just as long. And Snoop Dogg put out a 2-hour gospel album. I should really look up the names of these albums. Let's go to music, Chad. And Snoop Dogg just put out a 2-hour gospel album. I'm sure he's not trying to game the system using Jesus, Jesus. Is that's somebody's waiting for Jesus at the DMV. Jesus is waiting at the DMV. Christ, Jesus. All right. Anyway, let's see. Culture 2 is 24 songs exactly. Yep. And let's see what Lil Yachty is. Lil Yachty's is, but I think in U2's album, their latest one, Songs of Experience or Innocence, whichever one. I like them both. They're both fantastic albums. I listen to them constantly. It's so weird how all because of a podcast, all because of you talking U2 to me, that I started listening to these guys. So crazy. But I'm not gonna do that with REM. They're doing an REM version too, and I'm not doing that with REM because 17 songs. Lil Bo 2 is 17 songs. 17 songs. And then also Migos put out, they started this label. I don't know if it's a label. I think it's a collective. I think it might be a collective called Quality Control. Lil Yachty and I think Travis Scott. Quality Control. All right, let's see. They put out an album at the end of 2017. There are 30 songs on it, and it's more of a collection of songs. It's called Quality Control, Control the Streets Volume 1. And okay, so it's Migos, Yachty, there's a bunch of features on here. I don't know who's on Quality Control. They just list 2 of them. Quality Control music. Okay, it's a compilation album from the label Quality Control. All right. Label has many acts signed, some of whom are Migos, Lil Yachty, and OG Mako. All right, so I guess Quality Control. Oh, so it's kind of like, oh boy, that's a hot mic. I'm sorry. It's kind of like how Good Music. It's like how Good Music put out an album. Good Music is Kanye's label. So there you go. That's cool. That's neat. Anyway, what was I talking about? Okay, so Migos put out this video called "Walk It Like a Talk It," and it's set in the 70s. And those guys are just having fun. It is so great how those guys can just have fun and make this music, even though it's not the best music. It's not. I mean, it's catchy. It's not the best music. It's music that's probably gonna, in 10 years, it's just not gonna be. I'm in 5 years. Oh my God, in 5 years, if trap music is still big in 5 years, we have lost hope as a nation. I mean, we've already lost hope as a nation, but further down the rabbit hole. So. Anyway, I think and this morning I was listening to Eazy-E's album. That's I listen to Taylor Swift. I listen to Eazy-E. I cover all bases. I was listening to Eazy Does It. 14 songs, 100 and nope, I can't count. 1 hour, 1 minute long. It's a great album. I love it so much, and even back then, the rappers had a distinctive quality. I think 90s rap is great because it was just you can predict the beat. It was like Eazy-E's like cruising down the street in my 6'4", and like you can count that. You can count all of the hits right there. Cruising down the street. It's such an easy way. It's an easy part of music to follow. It's an easy piece of music to follow. You know where it's gonna be the entire time. Today's music, trap music, which is just, I guess, taking over rap. I mean, we still have rappers. We still have our Jadakisses and Fabulouses, our Jadakisses and our Fabulouses. We still have, Big Boy. We still have, I don't know who else. who else would I include in this? I'm looking through the Google Play Music's new selection of songs, or new people that just came out. But then we have our Rich Homie Quans. We have our. Oh my God, that is embarrassing. Hey Google, stop. All right, Jesus, I'm not gonna edit that out. I am not gonna edit that out. But then we have our Rich Homie Quans. We have our Migos. We have our Yachties. We have our Lil Babies. All these other people, so this trap music is, pretty much everybody who does trap raps in triplet flow, and triplet flow is just any one of Migos' songs. Let's be honest, any one of Migos' songs is triplet flow. And then if you look back, that stuff is a little bit, it's a little bit versatile. We have Stir Fry it's still in triplet, but the Migos' song Stir Fry is still in triplet, but then it's an upbeat beat, but then we can slow it down, and let's say Young Dolph's What's the Deal? That song is about, I would say, 3/4 of the speed of Stir Fry. If Stir Fry is the fastest, then What's the Deal is 3/4 of the speed, and Dolph is still saying everything he can. He'd be saying at the slowest speed or the fastest speed. Same thing as Stir Fry, and they're all talking about the same thing. They're all talking about the same thing: drugs, money, women. That's it, and killing people and getting shot at and stuff. I can say that I'm a huge fan of Young Dolph, but he talks about getting shot by Yo Gotti a lot, and it's fine. It's whatever. I'm just saying, switch it up, guys. Every single one of everybody needs to switch it up. Even Taylor Swift, switch it up, please. You too, switch it up. You can't be the political people all the time. You too. Not that it ruins the music, but when Get Out of Your Own Way is I'm saying, I'm in the gym listening to that song. I'm thinking, man, all right, I should get out of my own way. And then it's talking about the West Coast, not the one that everybody knows. That's Summer of Love. That's a different song, but I switched it up on you anyway. But yeah, so anyway, all of this to say is that Migos is the new NWA. Oh my God, that was the longest build up to something that did not pay off. So I was listening to Eazy-E and I thought Migos is the new NWA, because these are guys that have worked together, they're friends, they know each other and stuff like that, blah blah blah. But then they can all go off, do their own thing, and then come back. That's what I like about Migos. That's what makes them so interesting, and good at what they do. They put out God knows how many mixtapes. How many mixtapes they put out? 12 mixtapes. They have 3 studio albums, 18 singles, 1 EP. Thank you, Wikipedia. 1 compilation album, 1 collaborative album. Oh my gosh, with Gucci Mane and Lil Yachty. Oh, that's gonna be out this year. Oh, I can't wait. But they have these albums out, and obviously, if you're a real fan, you have gone back and you listen to them. Like YRN 2, which is a good album. I like it a lot. But then they all go off and do their own thing. Like we have, this is because Eazy, and they do their own thing, and it's passable. It's good, not good is subjective again, but it's passable. It's good. And I like it a lot. So let's do not Takeoff. I don't think Takeoff's done anything yet. Offset. I spelled Offset wrong. Offset. I spelled Off-est. Offset has. Who is this? Okay, so Offset did Without Warning with 21 Savage. That's an album that came out last year. It's 21 Savage, Offset, and Metro Boomin. 10 tracks. Quavo's on there, Travis Scott's on there, and then it's just Offset and 21 Savage going back and forth. And I would say, admittedly, it's a bunch of 21 Savage songs featuring Offset, with like 2 Offset songs featuring 21 Savage. But it was made, and that's really cool. And then we can go to Quavo, who's probably the most well known, and he put out an album with Travis Scott, 13 songs, and it's wasn't that well received, but they did it, and Offset was on it. And Takeoff was on it too. I don't know. I think Takeoff was supposed to do something. Takeoff was supposed to do something. I don't think he's done anything yet. Yeah, he's only got the quality control stuff. But eventually he's gonna do something, and that's gonna be cool. So I think that's really cool in music where you can just break off and do your own thing. Like Fifth Harmony today announced that they're gonna take a break, and I believe that at least one of them is already famous, or I mean already good, not good, already bigger than the rest. I think that's great. 2 Chainz used to be part of a group. And big. This happens in music all the time. I don't know why I'm mentioning it now, but this happens in music all the time. Big Boy, he was in Player Circle. 2 Chainz. That's when he was known as Titty Boy. Yep, that was his rap name. That was his hip hop name. It was that's 2 Chainz and Dollar Boy. I don't know what happened to Dollar Boy. He doesn't even have his own Wikipedia page. But we got Big Boy and Andre 3000. They're an Outcast. They put out so many albums, double album. God, it's so good. They're so good. I wish Andre 3000 would come back. Big Boy's latest album, I listened to it once and I said, this is fine. And then I put it down. I'm sure LP puts out music too without Killer Mike from, what's it called? Oh, God, Run the Jewels. I saw them in concert. Oh, man. Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. I think that's a really interesting thing to do. And if you can come back, if you can go off, do your own, like One Direction, if they could go off, do their own thing, each put out their own album, make millions of dollars, and have millions and millions of fans, and then come back and do something. I mean, obviously they broke up, but that's really cool. I think that's interesting. That's a really cool thing. Like, what if the Beatles didn't, they weren't broken apart, by guns and death, and saying that Jesus thing, would the world have the same Paul McCartney albums, and just the same albums that were released, and then also have more Beatles stuff? Would they still be playing Beatles music now? I don't think it would have aged well. I don't think the Beatles music would age well, and I will take that. Okay, last thing I want to talk about. I have for the past year, I've been told on several occasions that I remind people of Winston from New Girl, Sterling K. Brown from This Is Us, and William Jackson Harper from The Good Place. Now before I would have been, if this was like 10 years ago, I would have said, how dare you compare me to those men? I'm my own self. But you know what? That's a good group of guys to be in. So Winston is played by Lamorne Morris. He's a very funny guy. He was in whatchamacallit, Game Night. It's very strange. He was in Game Night, and he did a Denzel impersonation. Game Night is very weird because it had very specific jokes, but I don't think they'll age well. Like, they had this one subplot, which I could have done without, where Lamorne, and of course he was married to, oh God, I can't think of her name. She was in Pitch. Kylie Bunbury. And they're a married couple, and and their subplot was he was trying to figure out who, because they've been together since they were, I don't know, 8 or 9, and they got married at 19. He was trying to figure out who the celebrity that she slept with was during their 1 year break, and she thought it was Denzel. I'm gonna ruin the joke for you. She thought it was Denzel, and he finds out 2/3 of the way through the movie that it wasn't. And that's the entire joke. And then he does a Denzel impersonation. And then I watched the episode of New Girl because I'm trying to watch the episode that I missed because that show was garbage when they talk about just Nick and Jess. And he does his Denzel impersonation on that episode. And I think 1 or 2 times in that show. It's fine. Anyway, Lamorne Morris, Sterling K. Brown, and William Jackson Harper. And, I mean, I like it. That's fine. I don't care. That I think it's great. I think they're all wonderful dudes. I think my favorite out of the bunch is probably Sterling because he's got the acting chops. The acting chops. Oh, man. That's so great, though, that I can be compared to all of these great men that are doing their own thing. Well, I think the reason I had one of my friends told me I reminded Keys. I mentioned her on her name is Shantiana Keys. I mentioned her on News Time several times, especially that one that Greg hosted. But William Jackson Harper and Sterling K. Brown, she's the one who said that. She, I think the reason why I remind her of William Jackson Harper, who plays Chidi on The Good Place, is that he's neurotic and I'm neurotic. And maybe it's because we both wear glasses and we have cool hair, but it's mostly because I can definitely see it because I'm very neurotic when it comes to a lot of things. And then for Sterling K. Brown, I guess it's just because, he's really in shape and I'm really in shape too. No big deal. And that's not a joke. It's really true. I don't know why I'm bragging about that on an audio medium. That's such a douchey thing to do. But Sterling K. Brown, I guess, I don't know. But she said that and I said, oh man, that's good. I appreciate it. Lamorne Morris is someone told me today, actually. Again, there's not the first person, but someone told me today that's because I say all the weird things that he says, and it's true. He does say some weird things, and I do say some weird things, as evidenced by this podcast. Just thought I'd put that out there. All right. It's good to be compared. Good to be thought of. Good to be thought of. I'm never thought of usually. All right. If you like this, if you like to think of things, why don't you think about going to the website, cpluscomedy.com, and then actually go there, cpluscomedy.com, where there's so many things. News, not news. It's going to be reviews, interviews, features, other good comedy bits, news time, then the podcast, this podcast, the backlog of this podcast. The only thing I can provide you with. You can follow us on Twitter at cpluscomedy. I legit forgot what to say. Follow us on Twitter at cpluscomedy. Follow me on Twitter at ChadBlackWhite. Like us on Facebook. Head to the webpage, youtube.com/cpluscomedy. Guess what, guys? It's a weekly. That's where I put up a weekly news show. Sometimes other shows that I do, but I haven't done those in about a year. Don't worry, they're coming. I promise. I'm not gonna give a date because I know I won't do it by that date. But I got ideas. But right now the weekly news show is News Time. It's a great show. I love it so much. I love doing it. I love it so much. Even though last night I've been working so much. I wrote it and shot it about 5 days ago, and then I just didn't have time to edit it until the very last minute. Like I would say about 9 hours before it went up. No, not 9. I'm sorry. I can't count. 10, 11, 12, not 12. Oh, yeah, 12 hours. About 12 hours before it went up at 9 o'clock a.m. on Monday. 9 o'clock a.m., which is today. It's a good show, though. This week's episode is about Apple's jump into prestige television. They're making some great shows. They're buying up a lot of good stuff, but they don't have a platform on which to put these shows. Or in which to air these shows, on which to air these shows. They don't have anywhere to show the shows. People think that maybe it's going to be with Apple Music. That I guess that's how Carpool Karaoke is done right now, and how the what's it called, Planet of the Apps is shown. But obviously they're not going to be doing that forever because it's Apple and they want some more money. And they're going to need a dedicated service too. I believe, because Eddie Q mentioned that Disney and Netflix are great partners of theirs. That's his quote. He mentioned that at South by Southwest last week. So maybe Apple's just going to be producing, and they're going to allow these shows to live on Netflix or Disney's streaming service, which is coming out next year, right? So maybe that'll happen. Who knows? We'll see. I'm excited to see what they do because they have a couple of shows. They have a show from the book that I'm reading, or the audiobook I'm listening to right now. Oh God, I forgot what's called. Little Fires Everywhere. It's a very fantastic book. It's a very wonderful book, and I can't wait to see what kind of TV show it's going to be. Reese Witherspoon, Kerry Washington are set to star and produce it, and they create it as well. Steven Spielberg's Amazing Stories. We'll see what happens with that. I like the original Amazing Stories. I watched that all the time when I was young. That came out in '87. Man, that's a good show. Well, from what I remember. So anyway, I think I did 2. So they have about 8 more shows. They have 8 more shows in the pipeline, and a drama from Kevin Durant. I don't know how that's going to be, but they set aside $1 billion of their $260 billion. They're they're the richest company in the world. They can buy Disney if they wanted to. And they set aside $1 billion. Netflix is spending, they're spending $8 billion this year alone on acquisitions and producing shows. And remember, acquisitions are buying things that are already made or in the process of being made. So Netflix is not always making their things. So please do your research. Anyway, but Apple's creating these shows. There's a difference. So Apple set aside $1 billion, which is a lot for television. So somehow they're going to do this. I can't wait to see what happens, because there's a lot of ways to watch TV now. And if you can beat Netflix, Amazon, and Hulu, not beat, but if you can work with them in tandem, go ahead. All the more power to you. Anyway, and so news time is about that. And then also I talk about the Tomb Raider movie coming out, talking about how video game movies have not been successful, and they will continue to not be successful based on the reviews from the Tomb Raider movie. I don't know, I'll still see it. I like Alicia Vikander, and I like Walton Goggins. So there's that. All right. That's it. Thanks for listening. Bye.